Guys, hello, hello, hello. How are we doing today? Today is an amazing day. We're here on Saturday morning. It just feels good. It feels really good. I think my face is a little brighter today because obviously it's Saturday morning. We're having that morning sun in my window, and I still have yet to put a blanket over that thing. So I do apologize if my face looks a little more blown out than usual. Guys, we have several new cards to discuss. Now, I've been doing my best to try and keep up with everyone's YouTube videos. Rockets are hello, hello. With everyone's YouTube videos that they've been posting, and I think it's amazingly good. It's afternoon here, but whatever. Fresh, you enjoy the Saturday afternoon then. That's what you do. Mud Turtle, how we doing? But yeah, I've been trying to keep up with everyone's YouTube videos that they have been posting about this discussion that's been going on, and it's been great. I think we have a lot of really good constructive feedback. Scrub Kid did an amazing video. Highly recommend going check his out. I saw. That's right, Freshton. Freshton was live yesterday. Did some discussions on his Twitch channel as well. I know I caught Lurkers the same time after I went live on Wednesday. I think George did some more discussions on his as well that I was able to catch a little bit of while he was playing. Red Flash did some. Trying to think of who else has been live and discussing this and whatnot. That it's great to see the community basically come together as a whole and actually discuss this, actually get their voice heard live out there. Good, just playing some Eternal. Awesome, Mud Turtle. Awesome. Yeah, everyone has been doing an amazing job, and the community has been responding. I know this because I have gotten a few messages, just personal DMs to me discussing it as well. I hope everyone else has been, like Testament, everyone else has been voicing their opinions, has been able to get in contact with people like that. They are essentially like just discussing this. Obviously, they had a big meeting on Thursday after we discussed it. Then they went on holiday for 4 days, so we won't hear really much back until Tuesday, I think, is when they're back in the office. If Dells is here, he can confirm that because I know he for a fact works for Play Fusion, and he's on a 4-day holiday. And I know a lot of you over in the UK or Europe area, I don't know if you also are on a 4-day holiday or if it's just certain companies, but I hope you're enjoying this time off. You're enjoying the Easter holiday, and I can help give you some fun insight or some just fun on this Saturday afternoon before Easter. But yeah. So I just wanted to say thank you guys for continuing this discussion, for continuing the support that we're all having here. We're moving forward as a whole, one community, one voice. Everyone needs to be heard. Everyone should be heard. All I ask is that when you are heard, don't be like excruciatingly mean. Be truthful, speak your mind, but don't like start swearing, start getting angry. It's you catch more bees with honey. That's the old saying goes. And so when you discuss it, just say, hey, I have a problem with this. Be very calm, relate your topic, give them information, give them feedback. Don't just be like, you guys are suck, you guys are doing terrible. What's wrong with you guys? Like that's not feedback. That's you tearing someone down, and that doesn't help anyone. That only makes you release your anger, and I understand that. Sometimes it feels good. But if you are trying to give constructive feedback, if you are trying to help the community grow as better, tell them what you don't like, and hopefully you can even give them insight of like, hey, what you would like them to do better, what you would like them to improve on, so that they know the steps forward to take to give you a better result. That's all I'm asking. We also have holidays from Thursday till Monday. Freshton, you are lucky. I almost had to work today, but they're like, well, we could use it some other day so you can have tomorrow off. And I was like, oh, thank you. Dells01 for that Twitch Prime sub for 4 months in a row. Dells, thank you. I think that's the next thing I gotta invest in. Obviously lights, because this lighting situation is a bit wonky. I need something a little more consistent. Then after that, I really want to get like some animated alerts for like subs and follows and bits and all that stuff, so you guys are like, it's something more than just a pre-packaged thing. So hopefully that's the next day I can work on to really solidify my Twitch channel as being different from just a pre-bought package. I've already gotten rid of the whole layouts and all that stuff. Well, minor. I still have some of the things you'd see over here or above me, I guess, on my stream is like the who's been subbing, who's been twitching, all this, or not twitching, who's been donating, all that stuff. So that's what my next thing is. Wrangler good morning. It is Saturday now, Wrangler. It's not Friday, so don't get confused. It is Saturday. I'm gonna have to pop that in there right there so you're not like, oh god, it just feels like... So, you know what I mean. You know what I mean. So guys, we have some nature cards to discuss. Drunky Treasure, hey, Razor Greshu in chat, what's up? Drunky Treasure, how we doing? How we doing? It's always good to see a friendly face like yours in here. We're doing great. We're doing great this Saturday morning. We just had like a minor discussion of all the things that are happening in the Lightseekers community. I think you're part of the Age of Sigmar community, so welcome from over yonder. That's great, man. That's great to have you here. We will do, like I said, I am primarily a Lightseeker, so if you're here for Age of Sigmar, just give me a few minutes. Let me discuss the Lightseekers part, and then we're going right into the Realm Trials, man. So stay tuned if you're looking for some fantastic adventures. Guys, let's talk about these nature cards, huh? Let's just talk about them. Very little delay. That's good. Should I remind you that you have a website update soon? And thank you for that. Wrangler, you are absolutely correct. I will hopefully get to that right after my stream today. I have not touched that website in weeks, and I do apologize. Like, it's been up, and I haven't touched it in a while, and I know for a fact that you have lots of stuff that I need to put up there. So I'm hoping after my stream today, because I do have like Easter dinners tonight, that I can spend some time on the website. And it has been on my to-do list. There's a lot of things been on my to-do list, and the whole move and all this other stuff, and changing a lot of things like my stream layouts and all this stuff has been taking priority. So I do apologize for that, but it will get done. It is on my list. I have a list right here of things that I'm working on. It's going to take me a little while because the summer's been coming up and work's been getting a lot busier. So hang tight in there, Wrangler. I will get to yours especially. But yeah, there's so many things I've been complaining. It's like there's been a lot of stuff that I think PlayFusion needs to catch up on that they're kind of behind. And then I have a list of my own that I'm getting behind on. And so it happens. It happens to everyone. I'm not saying bad things. I'm just like, oh god, I have stuff that even I'm behind on. So I mean, it happens. It happens to everyone. It's fine. That's fine. We're all human. No one's a robot. I hope. Maybe if you are, you didn't click the capture box when you came in. That's cool. That's cool. Robots are people too, in their own way. But guys, let's. Trying to think here. Which one is it? This one? It's this one. Oh, can we just discuss how amazing this card is right now? Like, just so good. This is definitely a watered down Spectral Web. Wow, my forehead just got really weird there. This is definitely a watered down Spectral Web, which I am super okay with. Yeah, and it's still balanced. That's the thing. It's still balanced. Like, it's not this buff and all your other buffs can't be removed. It's just the one to the left. The one to the left can't be removed. Can still be returned. And for 4 turns. But it has the added bonus where, like, if you get attacked, this buff restarts. So, like, if they attack you and, like, they hope to do something, no, this one will just restart and keep that one safe. I think it's a very good card. It doesn't have burn, like Spectral Web, because Spectral Web needed burn. This one really doesn't. It's just one buff. But for nature, this one really helps a lot, too, because it's an undead card. And the only undead cards really in nature that they have were Spirit of War, Spirit of Balance, and the Reckless Spirit. Like, it was all the spirits, obviously. But the thing that was really nice is they came out with a Beast card. I think it was Spineback Forager. Correct me if I'm wrong. It's like 2 damage, but then you choose a family of a buff that's out on the board. You and your opponent then both search your discard pile for one card of that family and bring it back to your hand. And guess what? Reckless Spirit is an undead card. So an Anchored Soul could easily just be on the board, and then you bring your Reckless Spirit back for buff removal return. That's awesome. That is amazing, because this card is very viable in almost every deck. Like, not almost. It is viable in every deck. It's something that people will start probably splashing soul into just to make sure that they have this card. It's really strong. It's really strong. I see this card being played a lot. Maybe even an undead deck. Splash soul into undead. I know the soul item right now, the ring, has been really good for card draw for like late game control stuff like that. So even splashing this in for like, you know, an Anchored Soul and something else for your undead stuff to just be able to be brought back and laid on the board for all that undead synergy is going to be really strong. It's super cool. And I'm really happy to see that the undead family is starting to grow outside of Dread. It was like splashed a little bit into nature like it was, but now it's getting more into nature. So now it's officially being like it's being bled over into another alignment, which is really good to see for a lot of families. There shouldn't be one family just stuck in its own thing. It should be prominent in its own thing. I do agree with that, but it should bleed over into some others for make cross color decks really more viable when they try to build a family deck. That it's not just like, hey, if you want to play Undead, you're just playing Dread. That's all you're doing. Now you can play Dread Nature Undead, and that's really cool. I think that's a really, really healthy choice for the game to not just make both those alignments stronger, but to make deck construction more versatile and variable, so that you can have multiple Undead decks and have them do their own thing, and not just say if you're playing Undead, you're playing this one deck. That's it, because that's very stagnant on deck construction. So I love this card for that, and it's just a really good card. It's just a really good card. Oh my word. Oh my word. All right, next one we have is Rile Up. Rile Up, I think, is very, very fun. Solar War is one Undead card from nature you forgot. I thought I said Solar War first. Maybe I didn't. Maybe I didn't, Freshton, but you're absolutely right. Solar War, I love that thing. I put that thing straight in my Fairpang deck. That deserves a 3 slot in that deck. And everyone was like, are you sure? And I'm like, trust me on this, okay? Read what Fairpang does. You'll understand why Solar War is basically how that deck works. I get such steamroll with Solar War. If I have Solar War in my opening hand, you can't stop that thing. I said Spirit of War. Thank you, Rocket Star. Thank you for... You literally must have a stenographer right next to you that just types down everything I said so you can read it all back and correct me every time I say something wrong, which is fine. I'm very happy being corrected. It's just like, man, you are spot on with that stuff. Thank you for that. But we got Rile Up here, guys. It's 3 animal. Now, this one is like... the 3 ones we've all discussed, they seem a little more difficult to cast, which is fine. Combos that have a really good impact should be kind of hard to get off in your hand, to pay for cards. Like you want to be able to lay these cards, but you also want to be able to save them for the combo pieces. Obviously, you're playing Storm. That's not a big problem because Storm has many ways to reduce the combo cost. That's super easy to do. But Rile Up just feels really powerful for 3 costs compared to a lot of the other ones, especially because not only is it a defend that does damage, it's not only a defend that does damage, which already speaks volumes to me because there's a lot of stuff out there, especially in Dread and all that stuff that we've been seeing, that like cancels out combo attacks or reduces damage from combo attacks. This is a combo defend. It doesn't get touched by any of that, which is super good. It's a tutor. And for any of you who still don't know what tutor does, tutor comes from Magic the Gathering with a demonic tutor, which is literally just search your deck for a card and put it in your hand. It's a search for a specific card to put into your hand, so that you know that you're getting the card you want. You play it so that you can get the card you want right away, always, 100% of the time. That's what we mean by tutor, in case any of you didn't know that. This one gives you 2 Creeble cards, right? So if you're looking for 2 Creeble cards, probably 2 specific ones. There's a lot of really good Creeble cards out right there right now. The Mossfoot Storm Rider that came out last week is X5, and that's a Creeble card. That's a really good one. It's an animal card too, so that's really good. There's a lot of really good... yeah, we're getting a lot of tutors. Mind you, a lot of tutors right now are searching for Creeble cards. So I have a feeling Creeble is just gonna skyrocket to the top and be one of the very hard families to compete with now. But I hope it's just because like we're getting a lot of card searches for them that Creeble is definitely gonna be one of the splashed in, and not just like a main heavy Creeble deck. But I'm gonna try it anyway. I love Creebles. They're getting so much fun. But then it goes on to say that after you search your deck, you reveal up to 4 Creeble cards and deal damage to your target equal to the number of cards revealed plus 4. So, like, at a minimum, this thing is going to do a 4, because if you play it late game, you don't have any Creeble cards to do and all that other stuff. But at max, it's like 8 damage. It's 8 damage. And then Nature has a lot of really ways to increase its damage. They have a lot of power. I think Nature is the one that they're starting to kind of give power back to for the Citadel Musician and all these other things that are like the increased power, because that's what Nature really strides on, is the increase in power. And that's kind of what it had way back in Awakening, is power. We even had a combo buff that was busted that increased your power by 2. And in case you guys didn't know what power was before, it's just busted. Power literally increased every numerical value, which means card draw, health gain, defense, all that stuff on cards. It was way too busted. They needed to nerf it back to what it was, and it's in a much better area now. But yeah, so increasing this is just really good, and it's an animal card. It is considered an animal card, so a lot of your stuff that's like all your animal cards are going to be increased. This is an animal card, guys. Yeah, it's just a really nice defend card that can search for 2 cards, deal like 8 damage in 1 turn. That's really good. That's really good. I think this card is going to be found. It's one of those cards. It's like it's really good, but because it's really good in its own way, it's not always going to be an auto include in every nature deck, right? It's going to be included in a more heavy Creeble nature deck. Outside of that, this isn't a card you want to run, which I think is awesome. I think there should be a lot more cards like that are very specific, that are really strong, but because they're so specific and so kind of narrowed down, it really makes you want to look and be like, okay, well, this doesn't fit here. It's good. I wish I could run it, but it doesn't fit in my deck. I need to look at other ones that fit specifically more into my deck, which is great. It makes for a variety of use of combos rather than like, oh, he's playing nature. I guess he's running Vine Lash and Treetop Tribunal. Like, you know they're coming with that. If they're running Mountain, they're running Stream of Tantos, and they're running Crushing Blow. You know that's coming. Like, the kind of stuff where, like, you're facing a color, and you can almost guess what 5 combos they're running. Now they're being more stagnant. Now, not stagnant. Now they're being more spread out, more making more variety of them that deal different effects, so that you don't know what your opponent could be running. You can guess based on the deck of what you're seeing, but when the game starts, you cannot just assume and make presumptions of what they're running right off the bat. I think that's great. I think that is definitely going to help a lot of people going like, oh, if he's running that one, I didn't think of that. Okay, if he's running this one, maybe that means he's not running such and such. Like, there's stuff like that you can really start to get that whole mind development of stuff like that. It's kind of what going into Warhammer's doing. Warhammer's blessings are being a lot more spread out. So if they're running stuff, it's not just like, hey, he's running this, so he's probably running, 7 damage one, or he's running the 6 healing 4 damage, or draw 2 cards, stuff like that. Like, there's still really standardly good cards, and there hasn't been a rotation yet on that stuff. But there are some that are a lot more unique to the certain decks that you're playing, which is really cool. I like that, because those blessings really help those certain decks, and they don't do anything for other ones. I like that. I like that in these card games, especially with how limited the deck size is. So I like that as well. Last one we have is Leaf Web Wanderer, and oh my god, guys, I love this card so much. Do you want to know why? Do you want to know why I love this card? Let me just put that cursor right there. Let me see that. Do you see that? Do you see that family? Do you see the family that it has? Do you also see the family emblem inside the card right there? Do you see that? It's an insect card that helps insects. Oh my god, you have no idea how much this makes me happy right now. This is an amazing card. It's a buff that when you lay an insect attack, you heal for 2 and you draw a card. It really helps the insects kind of keep their momentum going. I know right now the insects have been like one of the lowest families. No one's been able to do a whole lot with them. They've just been kind of there. We've tried to make good stuff out of them, but you can't compete with a lot of the stuff that's out there because Awakening's out. So I hope that when Awakening rotates out, when we get all these Uprising cards, now we're getting 202, which is nuts. We're going to see a big surgence in these family-style archetypes. And Insects looks super fun. Just because of this card. This is kind of what Insects needed. They needed a way to continue tempo while, like, dealing damage. Draft type, you know it, Freshton. Oh, you know it. And the fact that it's like, hey, it's minor heal. It's what nature does really well. It's a card draw after laying a specific card. Fits really well, and of course it only helps a certain family, so you're not going to run it in a Creeble deck, you're not going to run it in a Beast deck, you're going to run it in an Insect deck, which is amazing. It's really helping that certain archetype as opposed to just the certain alignment. It just rolled over for me. Oh, are you having a huge delay, Frestian? Is everyone having a huge delay? Oh lord, I'm gonna, okay, hold on, I'm gonna hold up 2 fingers. When I do, type when you see them. I want to see how bad this delay is for everyone. Oh, you're not. Okay. I was just like, what do you mean it just rolled over for you? Okay, cool. So there's like a 4-second delay then. Okay, that's fine. Perfect. Thank you, Dells. Good. I just wanted to make sure. Fresh was like, it just rolled over. I'm like, oh my god, you have like a 15-second delay. What's going on here? But no, Leaf Web Wanderer I love this card so much. And the fact that, like, if you look at it, insects are starting to spread kind of into, oh, the hype came to you. Hype, man. The hype train. If you, insects are starting to roll over. They're in kind of astral, and they're also a little bit into dread as well. But they are very heavy in nature, where they should be in a sense. But there is a lot of spreading with these families now. They're starting to kind of get everywhere, just like in their own. They're not going everywhere like Creebles are, like that kind of stuff, but they're kind of spreading to their left and their right alignments where they kind of fit really neatly, which is really good. I don't think they'd fit. I don't think you should have them in all 6 alignments. I think some families should be spread into like 3 maximum colors. 4 is pushing it. But yeah, if you really want to spread the families out, I wouldn't go more than like 3 colors. Because that would just make way too much of a variety. You can have like 1 or 2 in the other 3 that are like across the board, just as randos. But I wouldn't make it so like if you wanted to make an insect deck, you have so many to choose from. I do think the family should kind of be limited to a certain color. That there isn't like 10 different ways to build a family deck. You should have like at least 3 or 4, but there shouldn't be like you can build this with Mountain, you can build it with all the other stuff. And see what they can do. I mean, I tried building a beast deck with Astral, and all I did was really splash in 2 or 3 cards, and that was like what I thought was fine. But yeah, I don't think you necessarily need to splash insects into every single color. That's too much. It helped really refine the families into their own sections, in their own pods. Creebles can be the one that spread everywhere, because Creebles are just they're Creebles. They go everywhere. But oh, dude, Leafweb Wanderer. Such a good card. Such a good card. This is like a 3 of in every insect deck. Maybe a 2 of. I don't know how insects are going to play out now. But it is also just a consistent buff. It's a clunky corner one. It stays out there kind of frequently for 2 turns. But it has to be an insect attack. It can't be like you trigger an insect attack on an ability. You lay an insect buff or something like that. It has to be an insect attack card, which means that we're going to hopefully see a lot more insect attack cards. The Feasting Mosquitoes has been seeing lately. We're already losing the Raider, but I think we're keeping the Channeler. No, not Channeler. That's the one I'm thinking of. Anyway, there's 2 insect attack cards. One that deals damage to the hand and one that deals damage based on the board buffs. And I think we're losing one of them. I think it's the hand one. The board buff one I think is staying. I could be completely wrong. Maybe they're both leaving. I don't know. But hopefully we do see a little more insect attack cards. Because I know right now Mantix Raiders is the Dread one, which is a 5 damage insect attack. And that's just a solid insect attack. It's just a really solid one. So I love this card. I love where insects are going. I still really want to see insect stuff that deals with how many insects are in the graveyard and all that stuff to really help them push late game, have a kind of a slow start early game. But Mantix Raiders rotating out. Thank you, Rocket Star. Thank you. But I mean, that's just my personal delight of what I would like to see. It's not what they're doing. They could be doing something completely different and a lot better in my personal opinion. Maybe they found something that works really well. But that's just thematically how I've always viewed insects. It's like, dude, they're insects. They live in the graveyard. They've done it for every game that I've seen this kind of thing in, and I would love to see them implement that family aspect into this. Because I feel like insects really haven't had their whole, like, this is what we do. This is how we work. Because there's been insects just ping damage. There's been insects that, like, deal with the hand, that deal with the board. They've been kind of flip-flopped and trying to figure it out, but I do want to see insects start to get their own archetype and their own, like, this is what insects do really well compared to the other families. So, I want to see a bit more Beast Dread cards for that hero. We've been actually seeing quite a few Beast Dread cards already, Frestian. They're still trying to flush out the Umbrons in Dread as well. I think that should be more important than Beasts in there, but we are only losing Toxic Frog. But there have been several Beast cards in Dread that have been revealed so far, Beast buffs, that I think Beast and Dread could be really strong as well if you try to run that archetype. So that's it for the nature. Can we go on to the mountain? Let's go into the mountain. We've always said that mountain has been, you only remember 2 or 3? I'd have to look back. I'd have to literally look at like the 80, 90 plus cards we've gotten so far to see how many Dread cards are Beasts. But I do know we have, the ones that we have gotten have been pretty strong. I don't think that Dread should go heavy in Beasts. It's already seeing a lot in Storm, in Astral, and in Nature. That, like I said, that's one that if they bleed into Dread, it should just be kind of a sprinkle here and there. I know there was a Dread here that ran Beast stuff, right? So maybe they are going to start bleeding Beast over more into Dread and have Beast kind of be like a 4-color alignment. Make that really well. I don't know. Maybe that's what they're doing with Beast. Beasts do seem very prevalent in a lot of stuff like that, so you can splash them from other orders as well. You could, and that's what's great about it, is you don't have to specifically run a full Dread Beast deck. That could be one where you want to splash an order in and make it a hybrid deck. Very true. But we've all discussed that Mountain has been essentially the jack of all trades, right? They do everything really well, do everything really decently. They have kind of their own thing here and then, but every once in a while it's just, hey, 6 healing, 5 damage. We're doing this. We do it really well. We're the barbarian. We're the warrior of any RPG you ever play. We just do what we do really well. Jack of all trades is no different. We got 4-3-1-1. It is just 2 crystal, which is really good. The last 2 crystal we got was MK. No, it's like the Cannon Mark II, Prism Cannon MK2, which is 16 damage on the 4th corner. It was just 2 prism cannons. That's what it was. And it was like, once you lay it out, it's like, well, you have 3 turns to remove this 16 damage buff, or you just take 16 damage. That's what it was. It was really simple. This one's, in my opinion, a lot better, because that one almost got always buff removal. It was just one of those, like, it's buff removal bait. It's what you're doing. You don't let that thing hit you. This one, right away, it hits the board, 4 damage to your target. Right away, already impactful. Love it. Corner 2, you get 3 healing. Really good. Healing is fine. Everyone loves healing. Then you draw 1 card, and then last turn you get an initial action. So it does kind of ramp up into the things that you really want to get later, but it still has nice impact on the board right when you lay it. Am I saying this card is going to be always run? No, it shouldn't be one of those that's always included. It is going to be one if you're a very heavy crystal playing deck. It's just really good in crystal heavy stuff. But yeah, it's a solid card. I think in draft, this one's going to be really good. Really easy to pay for 2 crystal. Crystal's always been the kind of the utility, the support of the alignments. And it does one of everything. And in draft mode, getting something with this much value in a card, this is going to be super good in draft. Like, I would not be surprised if people that you ran Mountain, you're like, oh man, did he pull Jack of all trades? Did he pull that for 4 damage, 3 healing, draw a card, and then get an initial action on the 4th? Like that, and especially with how limited our buff removal is in draft, that you might not get any. And this card just sticks, and you always get value out of it. Like, this card, clutch. I love this card. Like I said, draft, amazing. Constructed, it's okay. I mean, it could be included if you run a lot of crystal. I don't know. We'll see. Maybe you run that 1 crystal guy that's, if your crystal buffs are removed, you draw a card. This is perfect for him. I think this is really good for him. Next, we have the card that has brought up so much controversy. Oh my word. I think this card is amazing. This card is so strong. Road 202. It's a location buff. It doesn't have burn either, which is surprising to me. The defend ability, you draw 1 card, store up to 2 creeple cards under the hand until there's a maximum of 4. First, I actually have no idea how they're going to make draft work. I have not played a draft mode. I love drafting, but I have not drafted in Lightseekers yet. I hope to do one at the next convention that I go to, but I have not actually done a draft. I know I've played Warhammer Draft, and it seems really fluid in there. I don't know how similar it'll be in Lightseekers, but honestly, right now I can't answer that question because I have not done a physical draft. If someone else here has, and they would like to explain how the drafting works in Lightseekers, more than happy to do that. Creeble Howlock deck coming, you know it, man. But yeah, defend ability, you draw a card. So you draw a card before you do anything right. It's not like store 2 cards to draw a card. It's you draw a card, then store up to 2 Creeble cards from your hand until there's a maximum of 4. So if anything, this card is just defend ability, draw a card, right? It's just defend ability, draw a card. And then attack ability, 1 damage. Increase this by 3. 3 for each card stored. That's a maximum of 13 damage. And then the cards are moved back to your hand. They're moved back to your hand. They're not moved to the deck. They're not discarded. They move back to your hand. Okay? Like, what? Huh? Mind you, like that's really good bait. Like if they defend, they have 4 cards around it. Yeah, you remove this thing right away. You remove this thing right away. You could sort of kill 5 cards in their hand. They only drew 2. That's good. That's good. But if they don't remove it, or if they can't remove it, that's 13 damage. And the cards they sort of go right back to the hand. So guess what? You can keep doing this in a very cyclical fashion. Very cyclical fashion. That's busted. That is so good. Like, what? We have been seeing a lot of cards that deal with locations lately. If not just for removal, we got Blast Spot out there. We have been seeing a lot of nature cards that are remove some location and stuff like that as well. So they did give it a family to kind of give it the advantage and disadvantages that comes along with the family. But yeah, I don't know how the playtesting worked for this because they're like, yeah, this card seems very fine. But it's like, I mean, maybe the deck you build around it really doesn't have a whole lot of buffs. And there's not a whole lot of buff bait removal, so you just wait for Road 202, and that you just remove it, and there's nothing that deck really has. But yeah, there's so much power in this, and a lot of people are like, yeah, every 3rd turn you're going to deal 13 damage to your opponent, which is right after that you play it and do the thing. But like, to build a deck around this, you'd almost have to put 3 of them in there. Make sure you have just an extremely heavy Creeble deck. Just nothing but Creebles in your deck to make sure you always get value out of this. And doing that makes me feel like the deck is very limited on what it can do outside of Road 202, which means the way your opponent gets around it is just when the Road 202 comes out, they remove it. They just kill it when you have Creeble cards under it before you can get the 13 damage off. So there's ways to get around it. There's ways that I'm seeing there's very big disadvantages to this, but we'll have to see how that deck comes out and is built fully. To make it see if it can do, like, if it still has other win conditions, or if Road 202 is literally its only thing it does, in which case, something like that, really easy to play around. You just wait for Road 202 to come out, you wait for him to put 4 Creeble cards under there, then you kill that thing. They lose 5 cards, they drew 2 of them, and you don't take 13 damage. But like I said, we'll have to see how the deck comes out, how it actually runs, how it performs, if it does anything like that. It's up in the air. It's up in the air. It definitely is a strong card. I will not deny that. It is definitely a powerhouse of a card, because of how everything works and how fluid it is for just infinite value, heavy hitting stuff. But we'll have to see if the deck really does anything else besides that. Because like I said, if you want to make sure this thing sticks out, you don't lay it early game, because it removes, done. Your Creeble cards are gone. Which means if you want to keep playing it, you have to include 3 of them, and you have to include a minimum of 12 Creeble cards that you really just don't even touch. You don't even touch, you just use for storing. Because if you play them, you can't store them. So like that, right there, that's like half your deck is Road 202 and the 12 Creeble cards that go with Road 202 that you just really don't even want to play. So like, going off of that as well is like, okay, but that's obviously for max value. You could store 2 cards under this and still do 7 damage and all that stuff after 1 turn. So we'll have to see how this deck performs and how it looks out. D Malone, hey man, how's it going? Welcome. Haven't seen you in a while here. But yeah, thank you everyone for describing how drafting works. I can't wait to get into my next draft when I get into one. So, Lava Tamer and Mudslinger are both Mountain Creeble cards. Well, you're not wrong on that, Ranglithar. You are not wrong on that. They're very commonly run cards too. For the last one we have for Mountain is Crystallizer. Crystallizer seems just pretty basic. 3 damage. The recipient moves 1 card from their hand to the bottom of their deck. That seems pretty good. But yeah, I mean, it doesn't even like move it to the deck so it gets shuffled and then there's a possibility they draw it next turn. It just moves to the bottom of the deck. Moves right to the bottom of the deck. And it stays there. High Curator Arwen obviously has a really good, strong advantage to this. There's cards in Astral that, look at the bottom 4 cards of your deck. Play one of them. There's Tech that has that as well. So it's not an overpowered card. It's a card that can be played around. It's a card that could just be like, okay, well, if I have a Gravity Well in my hand, I'm going to discard this card. Lay Gravity Well, just get that card back. It's not that big of a problem. But Crystallizer, I mean, it's a crystal attack card that does the 3 damage and somewhat has hand disruption. That's really good. That could be really strong. I like this card. I like it a lot. I don't know how much impact it's going to be. It's definitely going to be one of those, like I said, very situational, which is where the crystal belongs, in my opinion, is the very situational. Does kind of a little bit, but its utility is what you really play it for. The hand disruption is really what you run this card for. So I like this card. I like this card a lot. It does its own thing. It does pretty nicely. It's nothing that's super broken or impacts the game, but we are seeing a lot of things that are Mountain that just disrupt the opponent's hand. Right? We've seen cards before where you look at your opponent's hand, you move a combo back now. Now it's just they just move a card to the bottom of the deck. Like, there's a lot of things that Mountain is starting to do for hand disruption, which is really fun. It's really fun. We've seen it way back in Wrath of the Mountain. We've seen Avalanche do stuff with it, which is a Mountain like that. Where they just have things that mess with your opponent's hand. So if that's kind of what Mountain is leaning towards, it's like that's what it does really well now. That could be really fun. It could also be very strong if you are consistently messing with your opponent's hand so they can't do anything. The way this game works, you don't always draw a card at the beginning of your turn. You draw it when at the end of your turn you don't do anything. So like, hand disruption could be very powerful if game developed in a wrong way. It has to be looked at appropriately with all the mechanics it is, because this is a very different game from any other card game I've played because of the whole draw 2 at the end of your turn, draw 2 with unused actions, that kind of thing. So hand disruption is very strong in my opinion, and if that's what Mountain does really well, along with this other stuff that it does really well, Mountain could be just right up there with the powerhouse stuff. Just because your opponent can't do anything or keep up with the tempo. That's really good. I love Crystallizer. But also on Fridays, Oh, we got mythics, guys. Let's just go ahead and talk about Illidan Stormrage here. I'm sorry, I mean Death Hunter. Adriok? Is that how you pronounce it? Adriok? Our new. Hold on, the cat tried to get out and she shut the door. I gotta open the door for the cat so she can leave. One sec.
You wanna go out? Did you lock yourself in?
Yeah, she locked herself in the room with me. But oh my word, guys! Also, the cat got in here and chewed the rubber nub off my other earphone. That's why it's not in, because it doesn't have a little thing, and it hurts my ear when I put it in. So let me know if the volume is too loud, because I can only hear half of it right now. But Death Hunter Adriok. Oh, first of all, Zelina Bloodroot. She was okay. I still want to try and make a deck with her. A lot of people have been saying they've been seeing someone playing Zelina Bloodroot out there that has been doing really well. I built one that was more of a multiplayer deck than really competitive or something like that. So Zelina Bloodroot has her own place, but she hasn't really had the card pool to make her a very strong mythic hero, which is kind of sad because Dread and Nature is a really cool color combination. It's just like it doesn't have a whole lot of impactful cards in her card pool, which was difficult. But this one has Shadow, and Shadow, as we all know, is really strong in everything that does. But it's double superiority, which is already amazing. And the card reads, when one of your... Let me redo this, because that was a tongue twister of a disassembling sentence. When one of your animal buffs expires, you store one death card from your discard pile under this card, up to a maximum of 3. Then its ability is just essentially deal 3 damage to your target. Right? Like, after a while, it's just an ability that deals 3 damage. Which I think is really good, that it's not an ability that you want to consistently use every turn. It's something you have to build up towards. It's something you build your deck around, so that late game, you do just have 3 damage pushing. You do just have 3 damage every turn to make it strong. Like, that's what this ability is really good. Is it does its own thing in the beginning, and then late game, when it's kind of out of resources, its hero ability is just a permanent late game resource. It speaks volumes to me that that's how strong that is. I know a lot of the times, what was it, Blacktail couldn't do anything in the beginning because your opponent didn't have a discard pile. It's stuff that late was always like defense or something like that, so or attack, so it wasn't really impactful. And then late game, when you could find the manipulator, 3 damage late game was really strong, and that's kind of how I'm viewing this. It's just essentially a better Blacktail, where it doesn't matter what your opponent has on top; it's just always going to be 3 damage late game. But yeah, you could easily build a Beast Undead deck with this. Very, very true, Christian. But it doesn't have poison, which is where a lot of the death stuff was residing in. There's a lot of death things that searched for poison in your discard pile. That the life leech, what's it, life leecher? I don't know. That really brought the poison stuff back, and it really synergized really well with it. But we're getting a lot of really good death cards now. One of them is like search for an Umbron, and then the Umbron is a shadow card, which this has shadow to, which then searches for 2 Creeble cards. We've been seeing a lot of really strong Creeble cards in Animal. Like, that's nuts. That's nuts. Exactly, Mudturl. You could just put Tentacles in here, because you have an ability to use, and you have Shadow to use. Why not add Tentacles in here? Why not add Tentacles in here, right? Do I mean Undead? Venom Feeder. Yeah, Venom Feeder. Thank you, Rocket Star. In Frustrated, what did I say? Yeah, no, Undead is primarily in the soul aspect. I don't think you could make an undead deck with this. Death you could definitely do really well. But yeah, undead, if you wanted to make an undead deck with this, you'd probably have to go poison, death, soul to make a really strong undead hero. Because I'm not sure how many shadow undead there are, but I know that soul has a lot in the nature aspect. Animal doesn't have a whole lot. Animals primarily beasts. But I do know poison and death have a lot of the undead cards. Shadow is kind of the support for the undead, but then soul is support for nature as well, and that's where a lot of the undead reside in natures and the soul aspect. But I could see this being a very strong beast deck, or maybe even just a decent Creeble deck that searches for good nature Creeble cards, or the dread Creeble cards. There's so many different things I can see about this deck that just be like, this seems pretty good. This seems really strong. Brown House, this card is so sick. Dude, this card is amazing. Like, this is exactly what I would love to see for a Nature Dread hero. Like, Zelina Bloodroot looked, I mean, she was kind of in that aspect, but no, this guy just looks so fierce. He's got like a wooden bark arm with the thorns for horns growing out of his head. This art is amazing. I am loving this card. He's got a giant broadsword. He looks like just a demon who you look at and you're like, yep, I'm turning around going the other way. I am out of here. Peace, guys. Bye. Like, this guy looks just menacing, and it's awesome. I love it so much. Best part about this, though, he comes with his own little combo. Spirit Barrage. Yes. Spirit Barrage is an amazing combo, I think. It's just 2 damage, 2 damage, 2 damage. It's awesome. But then they have to discard a card from their hand. I missed some of your thoughts, I believe. What are your thoughts on his ability? Oh, his ability? I think his Umber House. I think his ability is amazing. I think it's great. It's one of those abilities where obviously you're not going to trigger it every turn because it doesn't get impactful until later in the game. But I'd compare it to how Captain Blacktails was, where Captain Blacktail at the beginning of the game, you couldn't really use his ability either, or her ability, I guess. You couldn't use her ability either because your opponent didn't have a discard pile. Your opponent would then later just have attacks on top, so you really wouldn't get the benefit out of it. So it was more late game when you could manipulate your opponent's discard pile. You could manipulate the board, so you can use the ability more frequently. This one I feel the same, where you really don't get the impact off. You can still use it, obviously, for nothing or for 1 or 2, but it doesn't start to be impactful until late game when you have the 3 cards under it. And then beyond that, it's probably even better than Blacktails, where it's always going to be 3 damage. It's never going to be like, well, I can trigger it, but it does nothing because you later an attack. Where this is just late game, it's always 3 damage. So like your early mid game, you run your deck normal resources, and then late game when you're kind of out of resources, you have him for just infinite 3 damage that you just always get 3 damage off of. So his ability it's the same as Blacktails, but like on the same end, it's also better than Blacktails, where it's not your opponent can just make it do nothing. It's I've already made it do max damage and I'm set to go. That I do like his ability a lot. It's not meant to be aggro. It's not meant to just be like 3 damage, 3 damage, 3 damage. No problem, man. No problem. But yeah, his ability, I think it's great. I think the deck should run how it is early mid game, and then late game you just use it for infinite value resources. Which, as we all know, is what Dread really likes to do, is just infinite value resources. But yeah, his ability is super strong. It's super strong, and I think a lot of people are gonna be like, well, he's got 3 cards under there, and it's a hero. I can't get those cards unstored. He has 3 damage on every turn, always. And I gotta have that clock on me, so. Never realized it. Never yeah, no, it's not move those cards or get rid of them. It's just once they're there, they're there. It's like Halvar. Once he has 6 cards under him, there's no way you can stop his ability from just increasing the effects. And it's not a buff you can remove. It's not anything you can do. Jolty's the same way. Once a card's stored under there, it's stored under there. You can't just get rid of it. So. Can the 3 damage be increased? It doesn't say it can't be. So yeah. Yes, you can. It does say damage to your target equal to the number of stored cards. So I don't know. Usually it's like a certain number, and then it's like just increase that number. But for all I know, I'm pretty sure it can be. Just simply because it says this cannot be increased by effects. And usually there's a lot of cards out there, especially a lot of heroes, that say things like that, where if they don't want it to be increased, they will add that tagline just to make sure it doesn't. And this one doesn't have it. There's a lot of text on here, but that is one thing it does not have. So I love this. I love this card. This is going to be a great card. I cannot wait. There's so many good heroes out now that I cannot wait to test them all. And that's amazing that there are so many good heroes out there, as opposed to like, yeah, there's some good heroes, but I'm still going to play Domo. Like, there's so many good heroes, but Tempest is still Tempest. I'm going to play Tempest. That a guy like this, like, he does intrigue me, but at the same time, there's other Dread heroes. There's other Nature heroes that I really want to test out as well, where he's not going to be the be-all, end-all, but he is still going to be really good, and I cannot wait to get my hands on him and all the other ones as well. But back to Spirit Barrage. This card, it seems like very little, very minimal on what it does. It's like, yeah, 2 damage, 2 damage, 2 damage. Cool. Discard a card, though. It's what Dread is leaning more towards, the whole discard effect, all that stuff like that, and your opponent discards that card from their hand. Dread is also really good at bringing its combos back, if you guys didn't know that already. If you really want to build like a Miller discard deck, Spirit Barrage. And then, of course, back to this guy. This guy has Shadow, where all the combos come back from. So yeah, you just bring your combos back, keep playing Spirit Barrage, keep making your opponent discard cards. This card, in my opinion, the damage shouldn't be more than 2. I think 2 is right on spot, because I'm going to play this to make my opponent just keep discarding cards from their hand. just killing those resources before they can do anything makes it really hard to keep momentum with me, and also really difficult to play combos. So like they could just discard combos and hope they win off their action cards, and then I'll just keep bringing it back. Like it's such a strong card for how little it actually looks like it does. Just because it's hand disruption. Your opponent can get around it by, yeah, I'll have no hand, you can't make me discard. But then next turn, you have to draw cards. Like, you can only do so many things without cards in your hand before you say, okay, well, I have my turn, the unused actions go, and I have to draw now. Well, okay, discard that card you just drew. Hope it was good. Like, it's super strong. It's super strong. Where, especially if played at the correct time, just really steamrolls you with tempo. Just really, like, keeps you in it, and you can just sit there and draw 2 cards while your opponent essentially just draws 1 and then discards. Like, they draw 2, discard 1, so they have 1 card in their hand. Okay, they use that 1 action to play that card, then they draw 1 card. Then they have to discard that card, then they have no cards in hand. So next turn, they have to draw 2 cards. Then guess what? They have to discard 1 of them on their 3rd corner. So it's like you steamrolled them on tempo so much if you played it, like, in the perfect time slot, that this is nuts. This is so good. It's like, it's almost, and I say almost, it's almost up there with the Chilling Curse, the Dread Storm one that we had last time where they only got 1 action. Like, that was bonkers powerful. That was bonkers nuts. At least this one, like, if you have abilities out there, you can do that and lay a card. That's still fine, but dude, this is amazing. This is amazing. But, yeah, these are the cards we got. We're getting more today. Today is Storm Saturday, so I cannot wait to see who's revealing those, what's all going on with that as well. But dude, if they get revealed before the stream is over, someone let me know and I'll give my thoughts on them. Otherwise, I'll have to wait until Monday to give my thoughts on the weekend cards. But dude, this is amazing. I love all the cards that we're getting. And now that we're getting 202, there's so much more to talk about. It's not just like 130. No, there's so much more. There's so much more, and I'm super excited about it. I'm super excited about it. Awesome. Awesome, guys. Well, I'm going to put this back over here. This is what we're going to be into today. We're going to be into some Warhammer. So, one sec as I do the small away screen for video editing. Just one sec, guys.